Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
I'm a little worried about today's show, Stugotz.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, we're talking now about an escalation of things that has Trump speaking out loud about putting serial numbers on immigrants. Mm-hmm. And it's going to keep getting more and more desperate over the next couple of months on how much he leans on this white power stuff. You've got Mark Robinson lurking around porn chat rooms, a gubernatorial candidate in North Carolina. But
Thank you.
it is, well, I thought the porn chat rooms is the place that perhaps you would have known who it is that was, not the political.
Got it.
Kind of burying the lead on the just lurking in the chat rooms. I mean, that's not so bad. What did he say?
This stuff is going to escalate over the next couple of months where you're going to be confused how a politician can identify as a black Nazi.
The Bengals are 0-3.
Well, none of that is as relevant as Greg Cody is here and he wants to talk about his birthday. This is what I'm worried about the most today. That he is in full.
I couldn't connect the other ones.
Full bloom narcissism. He is. He can't look at him. He is radiant. He looks younger than he has in 20 years. Healthier. Wow. And what it is the medicine of being the center of attention.
Yeah. Or the makeup, maybe, that I just got all over my face. I could have a hand in it. I don't know. But thank you for that compliment.
Were you wounded that Billy Gill yesterday on our show said it seemed like it was a real VIP affair as we headed up toward it, and then he looked at some videos and saw that everyone from the office was there and thought it was sadder than he would have imagined?
No.
Really?
Falsehoods. He's doing this thing, Greg, where he's trying to divide us very early on.
Yeah.
So that Trump, we're not. Yeah, well, I didn't say that. Yeah. You said that, not me.
Don't let it happen.
He's
Greg.
trying he's trying to sow the seed of division here today, and I'm not here for it. I said this. I'm sad that I wasn't able to make it to this affair. It seemed like a good time was had by all. I also heard the bag was there, and I heard we got to the origin of the bag's nickname, and hopefully you can share that
Billy,
with the audience
this is not
later
what
today.
You said yesterday. You're lying.
I didn't know about
face.
the bag being there and the story about the bag.
Gary the Bag, his longtime friend, introduced himself to me
who
was silent as he did so with his hand extended, just expecting that I would know who he is.
Well, you were on his territory, to be fair.
I think I walked up during that because I was like, this is going to be awkward. I'm going to go help Dan out here. Dan, this is Gary the Bag.
When you stepped foot on that yacht, you left reality and you entered Greg's reality.
Well, I entered a lovely prison at sea that I couldn't get off at any point. Yeah. One of the spots where I was cornered was by Gary the Bag, somebody Greg Cody hadn't seen in 50 years.
Yeah, more than 50.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Since 1440?
Yeah. I mean, he's been on my podcast.
He lived at 1430.
The bag lived at 1430.
Get out of here.
The bag lived. I thought Radke lived at 1430.
What a street.
No.
It's not.
I know, right? What a street. I think it was actually 1450 for historic.
No,
Dad,
he told me 1430.
Did he? Okay.
Well, the bag's getting up there.
He would know.
He literally corrected you. Said that to him, and he's like, "No, I was at 1430."
Your dad does not listen nor learn. That's why Tuesdays are such a delight around here. But Billy, once again, has thrown a smoke bomb to distract us from the lies that he is telling.
Lies.
Because yesterday you said it was a sad party for old people.
Wow.
I don't recall that.
I mean, it's somebody's 70th birthday. You don't expect it to be a party for old people.
I will admit the inside portion downstairs part of the boat did give off like retirement home.
It had a smell like a must.
I don't like the way you guys paint retirement homes as though they're like a bad thing. Like some of us are striving to get to a retirement home.
Can't wait.
Billy, if
a 55-plus community.
Oh, so relaxed.
Jimmy Buffett themed, preferably.
Billy, if I gave you the
Pickleball.
option tomorrow, you could press a button and just take what parts of your life you wanted to a retirement home.
I'm on a waiting list already.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls gotta tell me I'm touching. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go out, motherfucker, get my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. Like there's no tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I am so done with Billy Ann Conway back there and his alternate set of facts. He made it clear yesterday that he thought everyone in this building was invited to Greg Cody's party, and he expected it to be more exclusive because in the weeks building up to it, Greg Cody made it seem like it was going to be a hard ticket. And then when Billy saw everyone who was on the boat, he's like, that's just a Meadowlark party. That's just everybody who was at the office who was invited to the party.
No, because I wish I had been able to invite everyone who's in this studio, and I didn't. And it was I don't know how many people from the show there were, 15, but it was a small percentage of the overall party. There were people from all facets of my life there, and I regret that in and out of this studio I had to leave out several people because the boat puts a limit on you.
Well, Stugotz took one of those seats and then did not use it.
I took 2. Yeah.
Right. But we had certain people cancel at the last minute. Like Juju was going to be here. He couldn't make it. He called me the Wednesday before the party. So when certain spots open, then you make last-minute invitations. We ended up having over 100 people there, but it was still right up to the limit we were given.
But take it up with Billy here. Billy, you explain to him what it is you said yesterday and quit.
No, I think that you're. I don't know what you're doing. If I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I'm kind of confused here. I think what may have happened is I may have made a comment, Greg, that Dan is now obviously running with here.
Right.
And I said something along the lines of, oh, Taylor went. That was nice. And then they're like, wait a minute. If I remember correctly, I painted something like that. Like, oh, Taylor's how nice that he was able to share.
I believe the line was, how the fuck did Taylor get there?
We were all thinking it, though.
I don't know. I don't. Listen, the words exactly escape me, but I think I said something along the lines. It's like, oh, what a nice thing for Taylor to have gotten there. I'm sure he really, enjoyed being there. And from reports I got, walking around the entire time watching college football on his phone, not celebrating Greg and not paying attention to his girlfriend, who then, shares a last name with Izzy's partner. What a small world, huh? In Miami. Like, what a good story. So I said something along the lines like, oh, how nice that Taylor made it, and he was able to meet Greg's friends who are of like age as Greg. Like, what a mishmash of generations sharing stories and really passing on traditions.
Getting back to what Greg Cody was saying earlier, is there such a thing as a nice retirement home? Because you guys seem to believe you are slandering the retirement homes and thinking that they're all musty, and I don't believe that the ones where you find money, you will find a general mustiness.
What Greg and I are saying and have been saying is there's a difference between a retirement community and a retirement home.
Yeah.
You choose to live in a retirement community. You do not choose, in many cases, to live in a retirement home.
Right.
That is a place your kids put you because they're tired of taking care of you. And that's it.
And there's also a distinction to be made between retirement homes and nursing homes. Now, a nursing home has, for good reason, nursing homes have a really bad reputation. I'm sure some of them are fine. But if you're in a retirement home that costs $800 a month, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be really tiny, but it's going to be pretty good. You're going to get your free meals, that kind of thing.
I feel like we're in the weeds here.
Nope. This is how we get the younger demographic, by opening with nursing homes versus retirement homes versus retirement communities. Billy's longing for all of them. Billy is longing for a day where he doesn't have to worry about responsibilities and can just go somewhere and retire. Be amongst people who don't have to go do things. Billy's running around all the time. He's chasing kids. He's chasing Stugotz. There's no time. Billy is trying to get to the finish line of a nursing home.
We have someone here who's turning 29 this weekend, and I said, hey, enjoy it, because this is your last year of living, just so you know. After you get to 30, it's over. You're going to feel it. Someone said to me, how old are you? I go, on a good day, I feel 47. On a bad day, I'm 62, telling myself you just got 3 years left to retirement, buddy.
All right. Well, since we're talking about old, and since last night's football, was exciting, was different than the football you've been watching that I've been complaining about for 2 weeks.
There were points scored. Yeah.
There weren't just points scored, because I do think that this part is always interesting to me around sports, and I know it's just one night, Stugotz. I understand that you don't want to make big, giant leaps off of one night. However, if we've seen 3 weeks of, the defense is caught up, don't like so much watching the defenders be the best athletes, kind of want to watch CeeDee Lamb run around in the end zone, you do realize that the next step on how the offenses get in front of the defenses is to have two of the quarterbacks who played last night who can do multiple things, that are running backs and quarterbacks, and that's how you stay ahead in whatever the next evolution of this is as you fast forward. Hey, Caleb Williams, figure it out in 3 games.
You're talking about Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, yeah?
Well, Trevor Lawrence, the reason I'm bringing up...
He's a bust.
I'm bringing up the losers because they can't do what the winners did. They can't do as many different... It's what I saw when Dak Prescott is losing on Sunday, Stugotz. I'm like, look at what the other team does.
Right.
When they can just hold on to the ball, run the ball, and you can't actually stop their quarterback from being a passer and a runner. We're not there yet, right? In some ways, it's still the league that belonged to Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger and Peyton Manning. But all those guys that are young are now coming on a fast-forwarded time frame where, hey, Bryce Young, you better figure it out in 18 games. Caleb Williams, you better not look bad because look at what Jaden just made you look like.
Yep. He's interesting, Jaden Daniels. He's completed, I think, 89% of his passes. He just looks like he belongs out there. He's incredible.
Less so week one, I would say.
Right.
He was great last night, but week one,
was great.
Week one, he didn't look like he belonged at all.
Yeah, but it's the poise, it's the ability to pass, it's the ability to run, as you pointed out. He has both those abilities, and he looks like he's a veteran out there. It looks like he's been playing in the NFL for 10 years already.
I think last night was a watershed for the Washington franchise and its fans. I think they saw their entire future blossom last night. I think
we have our guy.
I think Commanders fans are thinking, we are back. We are going to be good again after so many years of not being good. And I think that was an epiphany last night. That was created by last night's performance.
I think Jaden's looked good every week. That first week, they missed a couple of kicks, and you've seen since then when week 2, all they could do was kick field goals, but they've had now 2 consecutive weeks without punts or turnovers. Last night's game was the first game since 1940 where neither team had a punt or a turnover.
Wow.
The Bengals now start 0-3. Jacksonville now starts 0-3. The water's about to climb in the room in Jacksonville and Cincinnati, Stugotz, because it takes a little while for the pressure to get to Jacksonville. It happens slower there. Everything gets there a little bit slower. They've lived in the cover of anonymity for a good long time, but it was their owner, Tony Khan's father, who said this is the best Jacksonville team there has been, correct?
Shad Khan, yeah.
He says that
Yes.
that this is the best Jacksonville team there's been, and it is interesting to me, Stugotz. Like, this part is just hugely, hugely interesting. As the game changes quickly, it sort of comes up and saws from beneath what Trevor Lawrence does. So in 20 games, he's going to feel physically like Baker Mayfield because the game just chewed him up, and he's not as much of an athlete as some of these guys who are now wanting to play the position. And the timeline is now, Bryce Young, you better figure it out in 19 games. You got 19 games to figure it out, or we're going to put Andy Dalton in there. And Andy Dalton's a relic from the past. But to me, it's super interesting, Stugotz, that Washington, bad for 2 decades because of ownership.
Yep.
Gets the owner out of there who's got to be dying when he sees this, when he sees the position played perfectly last night in all the versatile ways that make you see over in Buffalo, oh my God, that team might be better than everyone knows because they've gotten rid of Stephon Diggs, and it's now, Josh, just spread it around. Just give it to everybody. You don't have to worry about a number 1 receiver. You be the best. And all of a sudden you've got, has he had a turnover? Has Josh Allen?
I think 1.
You're not going to beat Buffalo. You will not beat Buffalo if they do not turn the ball over. Like, that team will be better than everybody if they don't turn the ball over, Kansas City included, because they're the only ones who can play like that on the days that they don't have any turnovers. Kansas City can't play like that anymore, Stugotz. They can't wide open the field, score 38 points that way. They're going 5 yards a time, 16-play drives in Kansas City.
He has 0 turnovers. Are you saying there's something off in Kansas City? Are you? Are you saying that?
You better be careful.
What you said it. I didn't say it. I didn't say anything.
I'm saying that there's something on in Buffalo.
Oh, I got it. Wow. Well played by you.
Both are true, by the way.
Yeah.
Something is off in Kansas City.
They're 3-0.
Yeah, I know that, but something is off anyway.
Am I wrong for thinking that the biggest story from last night is Trevor Lawrence?
It is.
You're right.
Because this guy was dubbed a can't-miss prospect. He's followed the line of Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence. The most recent can't-miss is Caleb Williams. It's interesting. Even Andrew Luck didn't quite live up. He was very good, but he didn't live up to the generational tab that they applied on him before he decided to retire. But Trevor Lawrence has a really strange professional career arc where people were doubting him. Doug Peterson comes to town, and you finally see it from him. He's in the same offense with the same coach, and he hasn't won a goddamn game since Thanksgiving. And now he's seeing ghosts in the pocket. He doesn't even allow for 2 seconds to go by before he tries to tuck it down and run poorly. This is a shocking thing what's happened to Trevor Lawrence. Is he done?
I agree. That's the biggest story from a great doubleheader last night, an interesting doubleheader. Trevor Lawrence, a quarterback with his reputation. He's reputed, by the way, obviously. But
this can't be the biggest story from last night.
You
guys can't make Trevor Lawrence
Dan,
the biggest story.
This is a number 1 overall pick who just signed a massive contract, and he gets a pass for some reason. He is 0-8 in his last 8 starts, as Mike pointed out. He's been a bust.
And what's fascinating to me is that after signing this big, huge contract in the offseason, he is not impervious to an 0-3 start. Doug Peterson, after the game last night, was very vague about Trevor Lawrence moving forward. He did not give him a voice of support in any way. He might have said, he's our guy, we're going to get past 0-3. He did not do that. He was very, very vague about the quarterback situation.
He needs to cut his hair. He looks too majestic, and he looks too I feel like he needs a haircut.
He needs
looks
to
like a
earn.
surfer.
He needs to earn that hair.
He needs to earn the majestic look that he gives off. Because I feel like if he had a different haircut, we wouldn't have these crazy expectations.
So shave it off and then earn it one win at a time?
I'm not saying buzz cut.
Herbert did it.
I don't
yeah.
know what the next haircut is. I'm just saying I think that could help him.
Ooh, a mushroom cut.
Dude, I think that's too much face.
He does have a lot of face.
No, but if he gets a mushroom, he covers part of his forehead.
That's true.
I think Josh Allen would be better if he had Trevor Lawrence's hair. I think that he
now-
deserves the
He
Trevor
would
Lawrence
be better?
hair. Yes.
How can he be?
Well, you're the one who thinks he can't. You're
Correct.
You're the one who thinks he stinks.
What?
You're
No,
the one-
I said it.
Billy never said
I
that.
never said that.
You said he had
no,
a stupid face and he's overrated. You have said he's.
No.
I said it's great that Taylor's at this party. That's what I said.
This is a guy that played Nick Saban's Alabama at the peak of their powers off the field. We all would have bet anything that guy would have worked out. There's a reason why. There's only been a handful of guys that are at that position because it's so risky to evaluate. Can't miss. And we thought, maybe this is a miss. And then a quarterback guru came to town and saved him. They win a playoff game. And now he's just totally fallen off, and he's worse than ever, despite them addressing the offensive line, despite them trying all sorts of pairings of weapons. He is not good.
I had a fan reach out to me on X and ask me this question, and I ask you guys as the football experts, and we'd have to enter a time machine right now and go back a couple years, but the question was, did Urban Meyer ruin Trevor Lawrence his rookie season, or now, with the gift of hindsight, did Trevor Lawrence ruin Urban Meyer?
Huh.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le
Interesting.
Batard Show. Did Urban Meyer ruin Trevor Lawrence, or did Trevor Lawrence ruin Urban Meyer?
I don't understand that hypothesis, considering Doug Peterson came to town and everyone thought, okay, he fixed Trevor Lawrence.
But look, is he fixed?
He's broken.
And I wonder, too, if things continue this direction, who's going to go first, Trevor Lawrence or Doug Peterson?
Well, it's not going to be Trevor Lawrence because they just gave him a ton of money, and
Exactly.
you can't get out from under that.
Coach killer all of
quickly.
a sudden?
But his stats are shocking. Like, if you compare his stats to some other first-round picks from over the years, it's really surprising. I can go out to the board, put some numbers together, and maybe do some comparisons that would shock you guys.
All right, please do that because it allows you to leave the room. Go ahead and do that.
Awesome, thank you.
We would love to have whatever information you have.
I was so amazed with how bad Trevor Lawrence was playing last night. I went into this rant on my couch to my wife, and she didn't care about what I was saying, but I went on for like 2 minutes. How are there not 32 good quarterbacks? How do we not have 32 Josh Allens? Football's the biggest sport. It's so popular.
32 Josh Allen.
But just 32 people that were like, this guy's good at quarterback. We have 10 teams in the league.
They are good at quarterback. It's just different scales of how good they are.
How do we not have 32 that are like at the level of like, this guy deserves to be a starter?
One of the reasons that this is so difficult is Trevor Lawrence was allegedly can't miss, and a whole lot of people thought Josh Allen in college could only miss because he was so inaccurate, and I was one of them. Like, the evaluation of this position totally stinks.
It's the only sport we do this. Like, there's plenty of small forwards. There's plenty of point guards. There's every other sport we find enough guys.
It's a hard position, man.
But just the idea that we can't get 32.
The hardest.
No.
It's the hardest.
I get that, but we can't get 32 out of the millions
no, we
of
can't.
people
The
that
answer
play
is
this.
no.
Well,
That's
no.
crazy.
The answer is no.
But it's yes. I think like it's a boring answer, but like a lot of times it's just the system. It's not having the right pieces. It's not having the right coaching. Like, look at what Sam Darnold is doing. The Jets wrote him off, and now he's having an incredible season because he's found himself in the right position. Like, Baker Mayfield also was written off by multiple teams and finds himself in the right position. Like, sometimes you just need the right pieces to come together, and like it could fall on the quarterback, but it's just not the right place at the right time.
And the other interesting thing about the quarterback position is that sometimes we write you off and you ain't dead yet. And Sam Darnold's a good example.
Geno Smith.
Well,
Yeah,
but
right
wait
there.
a
Pretty
minute.
good.
What Billy is saying is right, actually.
It's
not,
boring, but...
No, but it's not that there aren't 32 good quarterbacks. It's that there are absolutely not 32 good quarterbacks in 32 good positions to play quarterback. Like, that's what you're saying is so that we could find 32, and if we put all of them
On Kansas City.
on Kansas City, not
Andy Reid.
not anymore.
Something's off, huh?
Stugotz,
Wow.
not anymore.
Wow,
It's not-
dude.
Yeah,
Doubting
gotcha.
Kansas City, Dan?
No.
Something's off. Just walked into that one.
Allow me to try to explain what's happening with the quarterback position in the plainest possible terms. Imagine you're one of the best ever to do something. You're really good at your job. But I've got a group of approximately 40 people that will spend a week obsessing about how they can make you less good at your job. It's really difficult to overcome that. Now, I'm really good at my job. I'm spending a week trying to beat this team of 40 players and coaches. But these are geniuses.
It does get overlooked a lot that if Trevor Lawrence is indeed seeing ghosts, they're being provided by whatever Buffalo's doing. With a literal dead man as their safety intercepting the ball. And I thought that team was going to be weaker because they lost both their safeties, but they've inserted someone who was dead a couple of seasons ago, and now it's a literal ghost that's haunting Trevor Lawrence wandering around the secondary, preparing all week to see a less confident Trevor Lawrence.
You have a combination of highly athletic people, big and strong, and highly intelligent people telling them where to go. Some people, despite being among the 32 best in the world at doing one thing, are just going to look bad by comparison.
This is funny, though, because I told you guys last week that in the third quarter last week, Trevor Lawrence had for the game 16 passing yards. But if he does it on Monday night, everyone notices. If it gets buried in the 1 o'clock games on Sunday,
no one cares.
All of a sudden, nobody cares. Let's go out to Jeremy in the other room. Jeremy is telling us that he's at the big board and he's got an exclusive sideline report that will, again, make Greg Cody rewarded for saying the biggest story from last night was Trevor Lawrence, not that a rookie was better than you've ever seen a rookie be on Monday night at quarterback, not Josh Allen being perfect, something else. What do you got, Jeremy?
Well, you worry that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to ruin Trevor Lawrence. You guys mentioned #1 overall pick, can't miss prospect. So let's take a look at his stats compared. So QB #1, QB #2. This is through the first 53 career games. That's what Trevor Lawrence has played thus far. So QB #1 has 12,330 passing yards. QB #2, 12,639. So advantage goes to QB #2. 60 touchdowns for QB #1 to 40 interceptions. 78 touchdowns to 56 interceptions for QB #2. So while their TD to interception rates are similar, 1.5 to 1.4, TDs goes to QB number 2. Interceptions goes to QB number 1. Yards per attempt, we're looking at right about the same thing again. Yards per attempt for QB number 1, 6.7. Yards per attempt for QB number 2, 6.6. And QB rating right around the same. 84.5 for QB number 1, 80.2 for QB number 2. So we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. I ask you guys, who do you think is QB number 1? And who is our mystery QB number 2? Which one of these is Trevor Lawrence, and who do you think we're comparing Trevor Lawrence to?
I think you told us Trevor's one.
Trevor's number 1.
And the other one's a mystery.
So Trevor Lawrence is number 1, but who is QB number 2? Any guesses here from
Gardner
the group?
Minshew.
Oh, that's a
Not
good
Gardner
guess.
Minshew.
Really?
It's a good guess, though.
That is a good guess. So we should just go through backup quarterbacks.
Joe Burrow.
Not Joe Burrow.
It's going to be
Tua.
Nope.
It's going to be somebody that's kind of stinky
Nick
Bad
Foles.
stats.
in order to play this game.
The answer is Blake Bortles.
Wow.
Of course, UCF.
Trevor Lawrence is
Shocker.
Blake Bortles. The Jacksonville Jaguars have done it again.
That
All
is
right.
damning.
All right.
That is
not great.
Not a great situation. You fooled me by going with
For Lawrence, I
a
mean.
retired player.
Steve Kornacki
Former
over
Jack.
there.
I am really bothered that we finally get some scoring, and what you guys want to do is bust talk. You guys want to do that the big story from last night was the failure instead of the success.
Well, he just seems to slide for some reason. Trevor Lawrence, maybe it's Jacksonville, maybe things happen slowly there, but he seems to get a pass where guys like Tua do not.
Right.
It's odd.
I threw a bouquet at Jaden Daniels. He had a great game, and now
Right.
all Washington fans are going, hey, we're back. We got our guy. But Trevor Lawrence is the one who just signed way too big a contract way too soon, and now his head coach is going, we don't know. We're not sure about the quarterback position.
I
It's
guess
crazy.
you could say the biggest story from last night is the fact that Joe Burrow is 0-3. I mean,
But he had a good game. I mean,
did.
they didn't lose because of
but
him.
the Bengals being 0-3 is and losing 2 home games now to Washington and New England.
Yeah,
Okay, like those are
Yes.
2 home games.
Right.
And
Inexcusable.
getting outplayed by, we can agree, can we not? The future. Getting outplayed by, that looked like the future to me. 21 of 23, gonna run and throw. The problem with him, and I don't know why he's not getting this, because Stugotz and Mike were talking before the show, and Stugotz actually said, I watched the game, Dan. He's not going to get hurt.
yeah, he's not.
And I'm like, you can't play like that and not get hurt.
And they said he doesn't like to slide.
Yes, they're trying to get him to slide. He doesn't like to slide. He slid once last night. Dan Quinn gave him a standing ovation. It was weird. But I am telling you, Dan, I have watched a lot of football in my life. This guy knows how to absorb a hit, and he's a little bigger than people give him credit for. I'm telling you right now.
He's like 210 pounds, but I will say in Stugotz's defense, Jaden Daniels played a lot of football before he entered the NFL, and he's only really dealt with one injury. And his playing style's been pretty much the same. He's always been this kind of dude, and he only had like a little ankle injury one time.
I told you guys that means nothing, by the way. That he's been able to skate until now.
He played
playing
55 games. He started 55 games in college.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think it's only a matter of time. I've thought that with Josh Allen too, but you would say he plays such a dangerous game, he's bound to get hurt. He was lined up opposite of Joe Burrow, who plays primarily from the pocket and always gets hurt.
Please give me the size differences between Josh Allen and Daniels.
Jaden.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Please
Just
give me.
making sure. I was just
Please
making
give
sure.
me the size difference between these two, because you saying he's bigger than you think, he's bigger than he looks. Josh Allen
is 6'5", 237.
Yeah, he's huge.
Jaden's listed
he's a tight
6'4",
end.
210.
Yep.
Tell you, there's a nice little frame there. Like he's gotta get
difference.
bigger. All he has to do is ask for like his OC what he's on, and then 20 pounds like that. You see Cliff last night? What
Oh,
Oh,
the
he
hell's
looks
going on
good.
there?
Yeah,
Hey, he
different
looks
guy.
good.
Yeah.
he's got a lot of time to be in the weight room, Kingsbury.
Just a total body transformation. Somehow got hotter.
I need the video team to get artificial intelligence in play. Please find a face of Josh Allen and put it on a horse, please.
That would be John Elway, right?
I don't know how I'm going to survive this football season 3 weeks in. Stugotz, can you do all of that a little quieter? The headset, the microphone,
sorry about that, Dan.
just all of it a little quiet.
keep it
Like
moving, though.
before we
picky.
start the segment, can you do all of that?
I'm excited. Yeah, you talk football.
Well, you shouldn't be excited because he wore me out during the break. And him and Cody, the last thing I heard, honest to God, I'm not kidding you, was Stugotz said, "That's a good question, Greg, whether Brady made Belichick in New England or Belichick made Brady." That's the last thing that I heard, the conversation they were having, because every week Stugotz is coming in here and he's putting Belichick on another team.
Yeah.
And he's just, it's all he's doing and through 3 weeks of the season. I'm not going to be able to do this with him all season.
I have my top 5 teams that should hire Bill Belichick through week 3 if you're interested. But I was just saying, Dan, the greatest coach in the history of professional sports is available. And he's telling you and telling everyone that he wants to get back in the game. He wants to be a head coach. And there are teams like Cincinnati who have gotten off to a bad start, who have Joe Burrow, who have Jamar Chase, who have a good team, a team that went to the Super Bowl. These teams should be sprinting to Bill Belichick.
So Cincinnati should hire a new coach today is what
Yes, because, Dan, someone's going to hire Belichick, and it better be you. If you're one of those teams that is off to a slow start, if you're one of those teams that had, dreams of making it to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the greatest coach in the history of your sport is available. Go get him before someone else does.
But the greatest coach in the history of the sport is 7-9, 10-7, 8-9, and 4-13 the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, so it's Brady,
Yes.
to answer your question. Yeah.
And he didn't win in Cleveland before Brady either. When
I
Bill
really
Belichick
don't
doesn't
wanna do
have
this.
Brady,
I
He
don't
is
wanna do
84 and 103 without Tom Brady.
thank
Right.
you,
Yeah.
thank you.
I don't,
Overrated.
Thank you.
don't
I
wanna
report,
do
you
this.
decide.
McDavid and Belichick overrated.
Dan, I toss it out there. I was thinking maybe Bill Belichick holds out and he coaches the U.S. flag football team in 4 years and he wins America a gold medal, and that's his redemption story. He holds out. He bypasses the all-time record, and he says, you know what, I'm going to be the first coach in history to win a Super Bowl and a gold medal, and he does it for this country. What do you think?
Daniels and Allen look like that, and you guys are going to fire everybody, and Trevor Lawrence is a bust. That's what you guys are going to do. You get 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks last night play great, and you guys are going to obsess on the one who didn't and then fire all of the coaches? That's what we're going to do in week 3?
Well, to me, the interesting thing is Doug Peterson reaction. My opinion is I'm not worried. Jacksonville's 0-3, so what? I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence. He's a good quarterback who's probably going to throw for 370 yards next week, and then we're all going to go, oh, yeah, we wrote him off too soon. Trevor Lawrence isn't the problem there, but if Doug Peterson doesn't have any faith in him because he's 0-3, that's a problem.
What I would prefer to look at, okay, and it allows me to mock me because I have been extraordinarily wrong about this quarterback. Josh Allen this decade now has more 4-touchdown games than anybody. When that guy doesn't turn the ball over, it doesn't matter that defense is greater all over your league. If that guy gets to run around with the football, he's too big and strong for any of your defenses to do anything about it. Kyler Murray, congratulations. You surprised us earlier in the season by making Arizona look a little better than we thought they would. But Buffalo beats you at the end because they have that quarterback who can put up 30 points a game. And while his skill guys are good, and they are good, you don't know them yet because he's been throwing the ball too much to Stephon Diggs because we gave Stephon Diggs all the credit for Josh Allen's evolution, and now he looks like the best quarterback in the sport. If you're going to argue on behalf of Sam Darnold for me, for 3 weeks, like there's no one who's played better than Josh Allen, and if he doesn't turn the ball over, he's going to win most valuable player. If he doesn't turn the ball over and is healthy, he's going to have an overwhelming season.
Last night, he became the first quarterback in NFL history in one game to complete 75% of his passes, throw 4 or more touchdowns, have no turnovers, take no sacks, and lead his team in rushing yards.
And that was in the first half. No, I'm kidding, but it felt like
In
it.
one
That
game,
first
it's
half was
unbelievable.
insane.
Yep.
I'm assuming now people know Coleman and Shakir, and they're going to know more and more about these skill guys. But after the game, I don't know if you guys heard what Josh Allen was saying. I don't know if you want to interpret that it was a dig at Stephon Diggs or not. But he was talking specifically about my team, everybody eats. My team, everybody eats. We're going to be throwing all over the place to everybody, and I just don't know what you do with that team if they don't turn the ball over. If
you lose to them.
I have one suggestion. Don't play man. Throw zone at them. They were playing man all night, and their guys are just running all over the field. Like, show blitzes, back off. You have to to our point, you have to confuse Josh Allen, make him throw picks, or else he's just going to kill you.
Bunch of coaches and doctors in here.
It's amazing. It really is.
That's just what Louis Riddick was saying. It's like all they're doing is playing zone.
I'm making fun of myself as well.
The reminder is that great receivers don't make the quarterback. The quarterback makes great receivers. We saw it with Tyreek Hill leaving Kansas City. Doesn't bother Mahomes.
It does, though. Don't say it doesn't.
Yeah, but he made Tua great.
Guys, don't say it doesn't, okay? Kelce and Hill made it so that Mahomes was 9 yards per pass. He's now 5 yards per pass because he may still win, but it's a different offense.
Yeah, but he's won 2 Super Bowls since Tyreek Hill left.
I'm just fascinated by how quickly this sport can flip from week to week. Josh Allen has now once again solved his turnover issues.
The greatest.
Trevor Lawrence and the Jags gave the Chiefs in the playoffs almost everything that they could handle, and he stinks. Jalen Hurts looked worthy and went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl, and now it looks like the NFL has figured him out.
Jeremy just sent me this tweet from Warren Sharp that proves my point. Since 2020 on early downs, Josh Allen versus man coverage, 42 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Josh Allen versus zone coverage, 27 touchdowns, 29 interceptions.
Now, what if Tom Brady says, I want to coach the U.S. flag football team to block Bill Belichick? Does Bill Belichick then say, you know what? Let's turn this into one of those things. I'm going to coach Croatia.
Oh, my God.
And then we finally have Belichick versus Brady for the gold medal of the first ever Olympic flag football competition. Goosebumps. Get ready for L.A., folks.
What kind of horse would Josh Allen be? Would it be a Clydesdale? Would
Mustang.
it be a stallion?
Stallion, I think.
Clydesdale's too slow.
Yeah.
Well, but I think of him as big
Slow
and
trot,
thick
you know?
and hard to tackle.
Yeah.
Like I imagine a Clydesdale would be really hard to bring down.
Sure, but it's not fast. You know, it doesn't. You don't think of a Clydesdale as running.
Faster than a human.
Right.
I know, but it would have.
But
to
not
be,
elusive.
It would have to be a thoroughbred, a big thoroughbred.
Yeah.
It would have to be a stallion of some
Yeah,
sort,
like that.
right?
That's good. That's
Like a
that's
Triple
more.
Crown winner. My
Well,
dad's
A
right.
centaur.
A centaur?
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence looks like the protagonist who would come in on a stallion in a romantic novel, correct? But Josh Allen, a centaur, you have his face on a horse.
Sure.
And the horse has to be big and thick, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know why you guys are doing this. Perhaps you can explain it to me. I heard for many years great consternation about Lamar Jackson's build and style of play not being something that could stay healthy. And it wasn't because he was hurt a lot in college, because he wasn't. So you weren't using the resume of being hurt a lot in college. Why are you guys not doing this with Jaden Daniels, the only quarterback in this era that I have seen who moves around and actually was very good at avoiding hits was Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was able to move around and wouldn't get into a secondary and be reckless with his body.
There are similar things when you watch Jaden Daniels. Like, no one gets a clean hit. It doesn't seem like anyone gets a clean hit. And he does the little things right before impact. Like, he'll go one way, he'll position his body another way, in which he's not taking those direct hits.
I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing what what I saw with Russell Wilson. I'm seeing a player who's going to get hurt if he keeps playing the way that he is playing, unafraid to go down, because Russell Wilson would go down.
Lamar Jackson is 2 inches shorter than Jaden Daniels. He's presently listed at 5 pounds heavier than Jaden Daniels. And remember what Lamar Jackson looked like at Louisville. Like, he put on like a good 50 pounds just in his neck to get to the NFL. It's why I think that Jaden Daniels' frame actually is kind of built to hold up. Again, even Lamar Jackson did get hurt, and some of that was contract, and he wanted to play it a little bit safely. But there's no way to actually predict injuries. All we can go off of is, has this person got hurt playing that style before? And so far, Jaden Daniels has had a pretty clean career in that respect.
Give me the size, please, height and weight of the last time that the Commanders had this kind of hope at the position. Give me what RG3's height and weight were when everyone was saying there is no way that will physically hold up, and it could not physically hold up and did not physically
Listed
hold
at 6'2", 223. I don't know what he was listed when he started playing, but I just know that when he got hit, he went flying.
And so you guys are telling me, and please, because I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I remember coming in here when the first few times I saw Russell Wilson, and one of the things that awed me about it was, oh my God, the whole defense is trying to catch a fly with chopsticks. They're not going to be able to get to him, and every time he gets to the sideline or every time he gets in front of somebody, he curls up in a way that makes it so they're never hitting him clean. And yet still, Russell Wilson has aged prematurely and his body doesn't work right because they hit him plenty.
Yeah, I think if you're playing the odds, what you're doing is totally safe. This guy plays a more physical brand at the position. Naturally, the numbers are going to catch up. You take so many hits. It's not really a debate for me. All I'm doing is holding up like he's bigger than you think, and he hasn't gotten nearly as hurt as you might think.
Oh, but please, let me make this part clear as I make fun of Greg Cody and Stugotz for obsessing about Trevor Lawrence and bust on a day of celebration. I'm not saying that he's going to get hurt, even though football's incredibly violent and anyone can get hurt the next play. I'm asking, why aren't you doing the same thing to him that you were doing to RG3? Why aren't you doing
Because
this?
when RG3 got hit, he went flying.
Lamar
Yes,
Jackson.
right.
Lamar Jackson.
It didn't happen when he got into the league.
But
Exactly
people kept
right.
telling me he was going to get hurt, though.
But he didn't.
But he also got a lot bigger in the pros, and now like he's hard to tackle. Like Lamar Jackson actually punishes defenders. It was a crazy body transformation. I just know that when Jaden Daniels does get someone to touch him, he falls forward. He's presently 3 weeks into his pro career. We'll see. Maybe he'll learn, but he hasn't. He's continuing to run every week. Teams are designing their defense to stop him from running and to hit him, and it hasn't happened just yet, but this is a numbers game. Those hits do add up.
Quarterbacks have 4 essential skills: accuracy, arm strength, speed, and knowing how not to get injured. And the last one is underappreciated. Go out of bounds. Learn how to slide tackle. Slide tackle earlier. Tua got concussed, and he never should have. He ran head into DeMar Hamlin, and he should have gotten down earlier. He'd already had the first down. You have to learn how not to get injured.
Plus, Dan, with RG3.
That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to
No,
say.
it's not
not
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous at
thing to
all. No,
say.
you're acting like it's not a skill. Are you kidding
it's
me?
It's a skill that you can
it's
have,
an
and then it means
asinine-
nothing
it's
one
an-
week.
We're
'cause
not
you get
saying
hit.
that Jaden Daniels isn't going to get hurt or can't get hurt. That's what. No
It
one
sounds
is,
like you guys are acting like he has an ability not
a
to
knowledge.
get hurt.
A knowledge.
It is an ability.
Just because
there
he hasn't
is an ability for some players. It doesn't mean they won't get hurt. There is an ability for certain players to not take
Yes.
a direct hit.
There
They know
are
what to
measures.
do.
Yeah, you run out of bounds, you
Right.
slide early. Like there. Okay, so like Anthony
Things he's not presently doing.
Anthony Richardson, for example, is substantially bigger. He's 6'4", 244, and people look at him and say he needs to change the way he's playing the game because he's going to get hurt. Now, obviously, that's a result of last year him actually getting hurt multiple times, but he's someone based on his size that you would think, wow, he's big enough, he's not going to get hurt. But there are injury concerns with him if he doesn't change the style of play that he has presently.
The reason that I bring all of it up, just to be clear, is that I've only heard it twice before, and I'm not hearing it about this player, and it's legitimately confusing to me. When Lamar Jackson came into the league, everyone said, you cannot play like that. 2 MVPs. RG3 comes into the league, has a season for all time, first season, running to 80 yards down the sideline. Everyone says, you cannot play like that. And his body fell apart. And I'm simply putting in front of the room because I think it's interesting. Oh, that got quieted. Was it Lamar who quieted it? Because you now see, well, you can play like that. But when Cody says that Daniels has some sort of knowledge on how not to get hurt, it reminds me of when the Dolphins started strong with Bill Parcells and they just stayed healthy. And Stugotz said, yeah, Parcells knows how to keep them healthy while eating a Dove bar on a treadmill.
That was a ridiculous take. I mean,
But you're doing it again.
I'm not doing it again because I was giving credit to a coach for having that ability, and not the players for having that ability. And players absolutely have that ability.
They don't have that ability. Tom Brady, you would say he might have had that ability, but then they changed all the rules the year he got hurt.
Taking in all these variables, their play on the field, their ability to keep the game relatively clean, their ability to get rid of the ball, and their ability to be available. The best ability is availability.
Well said.
Who do you trust in this league at that position? Who do you trust?
To not get hurt?
To everything. To not blow you a game, to not be the reason that you lose because they're in the game and they're making the smart decisions, or you just trust them to be available for that game. I put together a top 5 list.
Wow, I like it.
Because we were talking about there aren't 32 people that we can trust to be good at this position. So I put together a top 5 list of quarterbacks I trust implicitly.
What is this horse behind me with Josh Allen's face on it?
AI,
it's like Will Levis. That's Will Levis.
Yeah.
Okay. Those
beautiful
legs
eyes, though.
are very small,
Great eyes.
very frail, very thin. That doesn't look anything like Josh Allen, though.
That would terrify me if it came running out of the.
Well, it looks more like a warthog with Trevor Lawrence hair than it
like
looks
Pumbaa.
like a horse.
It's like if Pumbaa was a football player.
The head's too big. Like the head, it's not proportional
Not
in
body
any way.
shame the fictitious horse.
Outside looking in,
Nice.
Matthew Stafford. Maybe he'll make an occasional mistake here or there. Certainly, we know he's tough, but
He'll show up.
If I look at the lot of the NFL quarterbacks, he's certainly one of the good ones. I don't think he'll lose me the game.
Are we trusting them to? What are we trusting them to be available to win, or just?
He's lost a lot of games, Mike. I mean, I know he won the big
won a
games,
Super
but lost a
Bowl.
lot of
Trust
games.
is
Right.
what
Had he
you're
not
arguing.
won that
He was-
big game, though, how would we view him?
He shouldn't have won
with a
that big
no-look
game.
pass.
Yeah.
These are
Yeah. No-look
quarterbacks
pass.
that I trust today.
Okay.
To do all the right things and to be available for me and to not be the reason to lose the game.
September 24th, 2024.
Today.
The
Got it.
reason that
Could
this
change, though,
is
right?
a little bit, it's a little rickety, your list, is I do feel like we all know that Matthew Stafford is a whole bunch of bones tied together by string. That he's been
Beat
hurt.
San Francisco
He's been
last week.
physically hurt. Not he plays.
Trust it.
He
Puka's
plays.
out.
He plays, but the same thing that has taken out Cooper Kupp and Puka because their bodies can't handle it. Stafford's body can handle it, but not so well that he's not made of string and wicker and wicker. Like it's
Wicker.
Well
Yes.
said. Yeah.
Well,
No, so listen,
I
but
mean,
here's the thing: those
It could
receivers
have gone
are
a lot
out.
worse, honestly.
Those receivers are. It could have. Those receivers are out, Dan. But you know who showed up? Matthew Stafford. I mean, that's it.
You're really scrutinizing an OLI here.
Right.
All right. I have another OLI.
well because it's hard to trust. Go ahead, though.
This is
Another
for
one.
top
The second
five.
one. Okay.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
The only issue with him is health. But if Joe Burrow is in a game, I don't think I'm going to lose that because Joe Burrow blew me the
You're
game.
trusting him not to get injured, though. You said
No, like I understand. That's why he's OLI.
Availability
He didn't make the
of-
top 5. That's why he's OLI. You're really screwing. He's right there.
All right, go ahead.
Right there. Number 5. Tom Brady.
Like it. Not number one.
Right
huh?
now,
Right.
today. Trust him.
You know what? Fair.
Number 4. Patrick Mahomes.
4.
Yeah.
4. Okay.
3 better than this.
Nope. End of list. It's impossible to trust guys. It's really hard. You put hundreds of millions of dollars in investment in these guys, they could turn an ankle on an offensive lineman going backwards. It's an impossible sport.
People are coming after me on Twitter saying that there are not 30 good point guards and 30 good small forward. Like that I was
They're right.
wrong.
Yeah,
and that all these
They're
sports,
right.
there aren't 30 good of all of these.
No.
So maybe it's just hard to find good athletes, maybe.
No, it's hard to be greater than all of the good athletes.
There it is.
Because I do think the thing that gets lost is what Mike was saying. That whole thing about the team obsessing with all of their athletes about exactly where all of your weaknesses are. Like they send out advanced scouts, organizations study everything in the film and data departments, and all of them are studying your. Imagine, Chris, given how you do this job,
Well,
if another team was preparing all week to get you to do it poorly, to defend against
They
you
kind of are.
doing it well.
You're just describing Billy. But it's just imagine, like, you're trying to do your job, and the Jim Rome Show has sent an advanced scout to get in your way and learn, like, all the ways that you're bad at your job. Like, the ill-timed bathroom break. Okay, give him water. Like, it's a tough job.
they're like making noise in here on third down. I'm like, quiet, guys. I'm trying to focus.
Again, though, when Mike says it's a tough job, 3 human beings did it really well last night, and you guys wanted to talk about the one who didn't.
Yeah, that's sports. We're guys.
Well, that's how we do it on sports radio.
The guy who
podcasting.
didn't was one of the most hyped quarterback prospects in football history.
Yeah, to me, that's a story.
Right.
The
Yeah.
one
And the
guy
most well-paid.
that didn't play well was tabbed as a can't miss. Joe Burrow is, you can make an argument, he's the greatest college quarterback of all time. He didn't come in as a number 1 overall pick with the certified stamp of can't miss. Trevor Lawrence did.
Okay, you say that, but all 3 of the quarterbacks who played well last night, all of them, were drafted really high because their athletic gifts suggested, oh my God, Jaden Daniels averaged 10 yards per play in college. Averaged 10 yards per play because he was that kind of invincible in college. The 3 guys who played well last night, everyone says they have the skill set to be special players. I was one of them saying Josh Allen did not because he was inaccurate in college.
Right. I mean, Josh Allen went to Wyoming.
Yeah, he was the only guy that played last night that wasn't either taken number 1 overall or didn't win a Heisman. And he was still like a controversial high draft pick, but a high draft pick.
But had the physical gifts to overcome the fact that he had a completion percentage of 50% in college and turned the ball over a bunch.
Had great coaching, dude. Like Dorsey caught some flack because of they needed a sacrificial lamb, but they just kept Joe Brady, who was a part of that. They got guys from a staff that did that with Cam Newton, who also fell off pretty quickly, who never reached the heights of having that staff. Like
It started with Dayball.
Dayball brought in Dorsey
Right.
and those guys that had success with Cam in Carolina.
It gets back to what I was saying. Jaden Daniels, by the way, has led the league in not getting hurt, dating back to a very, very long college career. A long college career like you're never, ever going to see again from a prominent NFL quarterback. He knows how to stay healthy. It is a skill.
Why are you
Not
never
enough
going to see it
quarterbacks
again?
have
So
it.
ridiculous.
Why
I
are you
mean, he
never
had
gonna see it
55
again?
starts. When is that ever going to happen?
That's
Troy
never
Aikman
gonna
was
happen
talking
again.
about that last night.
I had
It's
a
the end of an era.
had a long conversation. It's going to be a look at me, Louie, with a dude that led his team in the NFL's scout on Jaden Daniels. So like a total eval, like talking to family members, poured over every single snap. And come draft time, he said that Jaden Daniels was the best player in this draft, which I found shocking because I'm like, mobile Heisman winner, always like relying on the mobility. Can he throw? We still have questions. He said no, certifiably best guy in the draft. And we were talking last night as he was starting to pop off, like, isn't this guy going to get hurt? And he's like, it's impossible. Impossible to predict that. All you can go off of is what someone has done in their career. He's always played the same kind of way, and he's always been kind of healthy, and he's a lot bigger than people think.
Okay, I'm not sure what that one means because both you and Stugotz have said it, and you gave me a listing of 210 pounds. When you talk about this stuff in this sport, and this part is, to me, Greg, why it is, if Josh Allen can somehow figure out the turnover thing, he represents the future of the position. When the hell are you worried about anybody other than defenders getting hurt when Josh Allen is running around in your secondary? He inverts the pyramid on, you're not worried. People are not sitting around worried that he's going to get hurt because of his style of play, which is wildly physically reckless.
I think what I'm doing is kind of like what you're doing. I've been doing this for years with Josh Allen. Like, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And now I think I'm just wrong across the board because he's just been so good.
It's because he's gotten lucky, though.
Well, he's been
the fact
healthy.
that you guys are attributing this to an ability and not just being fortunate.
It's
that's
not lucky. It's his size.
What are you?
Dude, he unnecessarily decides to punish people, and he's
Yes.
gotten away with it.
Chris, he is bigger than the people who are trying to tackle him.
I believe that Josh Allen can be more durable than a really thin quarterback. That's obviously just physical stuff. But for you to say that Jaden Daniels has this skill of not getting, he's gotten very fortunate.
It's very determined a skill that he's
What a
learned
ridiculous
over the
thing
years.
to
Luck
say.
is such a
learned.
huge part of this.
So
like,
huge.
RG3, his knee injury in Washington was because there was
It
a
was
low
unlucky,
snap
huh?
out
Yeah.
of the shotgun. It went behind him. He then twisted his knee in a bad turf and tore his ACL and LCL, and it ruined his career.
Slide.
And let's also
Slide,
not,
it was backwards.
guys, let's also not forget that Robert Griffin looked at a room of like Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, and a bunch of other
Mike
coaches,
McDaniel.
LaFleur, and he's like, I know what to do here. You guys don't know what you're talking about. We're going to play this way.
Stugotz just made Josh Allen bigger than all the 340-pounders. One of the things that always happens on Tuesdays is that Billy and Greg Cody become soulmates, and together they do-si-do and have a great time making their music
You
together.
tried to divide them earlier. I mean, not going to happen, Dan.
Well, they were here on different days, and what Billy said yesterday was what he said.
That was yesterday.
What did I say?
I was sent a clip of what Billy said yesterday, if you'd like to play it.
Yes,
Well, I
thank
mean, we're
you.
seeing a picture of Will Levis as a horse right now, so what can we trust anymore?
Thank you. Please. Oh,
Well
so you're
played.
saying that this was distorted? You think that the video department, given all their fine work on the horse here, you think they distorted your voice to create audio that you're going to call fake news?
Possibly. I haven't heard it yet, but it's possible.
I've never seen Taylor as happy as he was on Greg Cody's boat when he.
Why the was Taylor on that boat? Okay. What did I say?
Right.
How is that a shot
Well,
at
what
Greg?
came after that? I need the audio of what came after
you
that.
can't- oh, good. Let's buy more time for them to fabricate things, I guess.
I mean, that was a pretty dismissive, like, why was he on that boat?
That wasn't a shot at Greg.
That's taking a shot at the guest list.
shot at Taylor.
No, falsehoods. If anything, that's a credit to Greg for being such a kind-hearted human being and so welcoming to invite a peon like Taylor onto that boat, you know?
Well, what I was saying about their kinship is I believe that they're aligned today on how it is that they feel about the Dolphins. And I'm getting Stugotz, and this happens, man. Mike lived it. Mike lived it when the Browns all of a sudden had expectations and then everyone started laughing at them. I feel a hostility 3 games in off of Billy and Greg that's mad at the Dolphins because, damn you, you made me believe. You made me think that this was built right. And now, during the break, Greg Cody actually said out loud, the Dolphins only have themselves to blame.
That's true. That's a great point by Greg.
100%.
Yeah.
For the quarterback calamity they're in right now, okay? You have in Tua Tagovailoa the most fragile starting quarterback in the NFL because of his propensity to concussions.
He does not have the ability to avoid injury. All the
does
other
not,
quarterbacks
right.
have that. He does not.
No, that's not true.
Not all of them.
He had the ability in the play 2 games ago that got him concussed again. He ran head-on into DeMar Hamlin when he could have slid or gone in the fetal position
So
before
last
the
year,
contact.
he had the ability and then lost the ability during that play.
He had the ability 2 games ago and didn't use it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So he
You
had the
guys
ability.
are being ridiculous.
He gained
with
the
this,
ability.
by the way.
He gained the ability, which would speak to the point. It is an ability.
He had the
You
ability.
can acquire it.
when
You
he-
can
when-
learn how
when
to
he-
do
when
it.
he le-
Forget.
When he left the pocket, he had the ability, but then he forgot it when that
Right.
ghost in the secondary for the Bills hit him.
He did lose some weight this offseason.
Yeah.
You guys are acting like there's measures that can't be taken to mitigate the chance of an injury. Like,
course.
obviously, football is a very dangerous game, and you can get injured one play to the next. But there are ways of playing to mitigate the risks so that you don't put yourself in harm's way to get injured as much.
But
Like,
there are times where that ability means nothing.
correct, but
We
you guys
agree.
are acting as though there's nothing that can be
all
done
right, so
to prevent
we're on the
injury
extremes
ever.
here. You guys are the ones saying that there's this inherent skill that he has.
We're not saying if you have the
No.
skill
It's
you
a
can't
random
get hurt.
sport.
We're
No,
not saying you
no.
can't get hurt.
You can absolutely get hurt.
We're not saying like we're
No,
we're
Dan
not
is playing this game where he's
Right.
egging you on. You don't seem to understand that you can
Right.
avoid injury potentially. Like there's things that you can do to not put yourself in harm's
Yes.
way. You can still get injured on any given play,
100%.
but there's plays that you put yourself more at risk to getting injured than others.
Thank you, Billy. Dan's the one who said Matthew Stafford was made out of wicker. Listen, when I say that the Dolphins have themselves to blame, I mean that you have a quarterback who you know is fragile. So who's your backup? You got to have a big backup, right? You got to have a veteran backup who could, an Andy Dalton who can go right in there and
Thank
you
you.
feel good.
Yep, should be a starter.
What do they have?
Yeah.
They don't have that. They could have had Andy Dalton. They could have had Jimmy Garoppolo.
Joe Flacco.
They could have traded for Justin Fields
Russell
for a
Wilson.
low
Yeah.
draft pick.
Right.
They did none of that.
And now they can't. Fields is a starter there for the foreseeable future.
Correct.
I don't know why we're being negative about the Dolphins because they had the best loss of any team in the state of Florida.
Nice.
As bad as it was on Sunday, the Bucs got blown out by the Broncos and the Jaguars looked like the worst team in the world with their starting quarterback. Now, Snoop Huntley, a Pro Bowl quarterback, maybe coming into the fold. You should be positive you're a Dolphins
good
fan.
loss,
Pro Bowl
good loss.
quarterback. Good
Yeah.
loss.
Greg Cody
Hilarious.
is saying the Dolphins have only themselves to blame. And on God Bless Football and elsewhere, Billy has been trying to get off the ground the hot air balloon of Sunday was a great day for Tua.
It was a good day for Tua. I mean, okay. Everyone seems to be in an argumentative spirit today. Are we going to argue that Sunday was a bad day for Tua?
He probably had a headache.
He should not have flown to Seattle, and I don't understand
Done.
why that decision was made.
Long trip.
I get the whole let's be a supportive teammate thing, but someone has to be like, Tua, dude, like honestly, just take a week off and go like spend time with your family, spend time in a dark room, spend time coloring, whatever you want to do. Just don't do this.
Coloring. I think that was like a subtle way to send the message, like quit it with the retirement talk. Like leave me alone. I'm hopping on this plane. I'm going to be around this team. You can't interview me after the game, but this is a subtle way to like put some of that talk down.
I agree that the Dolphin quarterback calamity has made Tua look good because if and there are a lot of Dolphin fans out there who think he's overrated, who think he's should not have gotten the big contract he got, and now those same fans have to reconsider. They have to recalibrate their thought because Tua is so and another prevailing thought with Dolphin fans is in Mike McDaniel's offense, anybody can go in there. They got Tyreek Hill, they got Waddle, they got a good running game. Anybody can go in there and put up big numbers. No, they can't because they don't have another quarterback who's nearly as good as Tua.
I brought this up yesterday, and I need the help from the group on this. Can you guys explain to me how you've arrived at Skylar Thompson is what he was against Seattle, but isn't what he was in a road playoff game against Buffalo? I just want to know where your takes are on this because when they went to Buffalo and faced this Josh Allen and lost whatever it was 38-35, it was some game in the 30s. You
Yes.
guys were very impressed with you guys were making the opposite argument on when Mike McDaniel travels with a quarterback, he can do it with anybody. And as I recall, that was a hugely injured Dolphin team. It wasn't just Tua that was injured.
Yeah, but I believe Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and Armstead played that game. That offensive line, when they had those three, was good a couple years ago. And I think to the point I made yesterday of why are backup quarterbacks good in San Francisco but not here, the offensive line, like Armstead went out, Austin Jackson went out in the last game. Like, there are just huge offensive line questions still for this Dolphins team.
I also don't think anyone was celebrating Skylar Thompson's performance after that game. He had a 44 quarterback rating, or his rating was 44, a QBR of 23.3. He had 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown. He was 18 of 45. He was bad.
And
like we learned that day, he's not good enough.
And the point is, even if he had a great game, it's such a small sample size with him. He's unproven. He's untested. My whole point about the backup quarterback to Tua has to be a veteran who's been around, who's started dozens of games, who you can rely on, who you know is not going to hurt you.
You know what's funny to me is of all the complaints about Skylar Thompson and how bad he's been, is no one wants to discuss like how Tua has played worse than him.
The thing that I thought was interesting about what Chris Cody just said is that in that Buffalo game, Tua lost his health and his capacity to play quarterback well as soon as the left side of his line went away. And what we're saying about the assessments on yesterday, don't have anything to do with the offensive line. Like none of the analysis, the Dolphins have only themselves to blame that the left side of their offensive line has physically gotten hurt because those two guys don't have the ability that you say that Jaden Daniels has to keep from being injured in that sport.
No, but when is the NFL and coaches and GMs going to realize, hey, having a backup quarterback is really important? I understand what you're saying about the offensive line, and it was a good point. But when are they going to realize? This is the same thing that happened to the Jets, and Greg is right and Billy is right. If you have a quarterback and your chief concern with that quarterback is his health, you better have a good backup.
Stu,
you better have a backup that's not Skylar Thompson.
Stu, they do, but when you decide to sign Tua to the kind of deal that you do, you have to make business decisions. It's a cap sport. Everyone has this. We had this discussion about why don't they trust a third quarterback for emergencies? It's available to them. They decide to try to win in the margins and play likelihoods. They decided to dedicate a large piece of their cap to the starter and then not have that insurance policy.
Mahomes gets paid a bunch, and they have Carson Wentz.
Less than Tua.
Yeah, they have Carson Went's.
Well, that's
I'm agreeing
Right.
with you guys. Like,
Yes.
backup quarterbacks aren't that expensive.
No.
Like, you can find money for.
You could have had
Mitch
Sam
Trubisky.
Darnold for $10 million this year.
They lost the best player in the NFL according to the players. Okay? They had to make tough decisions. Yeah, they got Carson Wentz because they decided to let Tyreek Hill go because they're paying a guy that can win Super Bowls independent of losing the best player in the NFL.
But that's also why, it's fair to question management. If they decided Tua was going to be their guy, why didn't they sign him earlier in the offseason? And you could have gotten him for $2-3 million less a season had you just signed him before Trevor Lawrence, and then you could have used that money on a backup quarterback. The fact that they waited so long is why they had to pay him so much, because the price of quarterbacks just kept going up. And then if it's a situation with a cap, you guys put yourselves in that position.
I know that we love to do this, okay, because we are all financial analysts on the salary cap in a way that is funny to me. But I
$4 million for Andy Dalton.
Thank you,
Cheap.
Stugotz.
Got it.
I just saw Jerry Jones,
Yeah.
famous wealthy person,
Yeah.
come out and say that they couldn't afford Derrick Henry. And I don't know that anyone thought that was a dumb thing to hear, but the way the rules are implemented in a violent sport where the NFL, of all things, makes the teams be cheap at places that make it so that the product on Sunday is going to have 17 backup quarterbacks by week 6. Like the product is going to go to shit because no one can stay healthy because the defensive linemen are 350 pounds.
You could have had Russell Wilson for nothing. I mean, Denver's paying the tab on that.
Justin Fields for a 6th-round draft pick. Nah, we don't want him.
They also could have signed Dak earlier.
They could have just
and then they could have gotten Derrick Henry also. Like, why did they wait so long to sign Dak and then give him $60 million a year?
We're a week removed from thinking Derrick Henry was washed and asking aloud, well, Baltimore must know something if they're not giving him snaps.
All right, you know what? We need to regather ourselves. Everyone's arguing.
I
it's
love
week.
this.
It's
Classic
week 3.
sports radio.
We need to
This is
pace
great.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to pace ourselves. It's going crazy here. I'm not comfortable with what's happening here. The argument has been made by these two bozos that people in the NFL know exactly how to keep them being injured.
Yeah.
While Greg can't stop coughing.
By the way, Greg's Lobos didn't think Derrick Henry was washed.
Oh,
The
boy.
Lobos drafted Derrick Henry onto
Tell
a
him.
fantasy team.
Lobos!
He's doing great. On another of my fantasy teams, I drafted Saquon Barkley, and I heard Ghosts of Barkley references deriding the pick. How's Saquon Barkley doing in fantasy? Case closed.
Greg, I wish that you had given me that insight because unfortunately this week in our God Bless Football Dan Le Batard Show listener league presented by Smirnoff. By the way, you were asking me earlier, how can you join? You can join GBF's weekly contest for a chance to compete against the cast, plus win cash prizes. DKNG.co/Smirnoff, presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. Had I known that, I would have drafted Derrick Henry, and I could have potentially had a repeat performance. Last week, I finished in 5th place. Guess what place I finished in this week, Dan? 625th place. But that's the thing about this weekly league, Dan. 1 week to the next, it completely resets. So people could say, oh my gosh, Billy, you're in 5th place. You must be dominating now. And then you fall back 600 places. Your season must be over. No, friends. Every week, you start anew. And you can start anew and join me and Stugotz and maybe Greg and Mike and Chris and whoever else. You just go to the website, you join for free, $3 buy, and you win some real cash. Every week's a new week, 1 week to the next.
How many people in that league?
Well, last week there was over 600.
That there can't be a lot of good free agents on the waiver wire in that league.
Well, no, I'm glad you asked.
Every
This is
week
the way
it's a
that it
new
works.
lineup. Yeah.
You just have a sum of money, and then you pick your team. Everyone can have the same players or different
okay.
players.
Yeah,
it's
right.
incredible the way you put your lineup together.
What a great idea.
DKNG.co/Smirnoff.
Yeah, I have to look into that.
Didn't you say that daily fantasy was a cruel mistress?
It is. That's why it's a cruel mistress.
Yeah.
1 week you're at the top of the world in 5th place, winning $125. The next week, 625th place. You think you know things, and then you quickly get brought back down to earth by that cruel mistress, daily fantasy.
All right, let's do it.
You don't know anything.
Let's do it.
It is time now for a weekly update on our favorite team, Rex Lobos. Here is their head coach and president of football operations, Greg Cody.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is daily fantasy a cruel mistress? At Le Batard Show.
But the highs are high. But, brother, the lows are low.
Why did you just become Hulk Hogan?
You have to.
Greg's Lobos.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
You guys started on Trevor Lawrence and blaming Trevor Lawrence, and I'm legitimately stunned to learn that Bengals-Commanders game is the first game since 1940 with no turnovers or punts. Since 1940.
Huh.
Crazy.
No turnovers.
Steve Martin said that earlier.
No punts. I still think it's crazy. I think it's nuts, the idea that we would go that long without a game that felt or looked like that, especially as defenses are going nuts all over the league. But, Chris, you and I, before we get to Diana Rossini, I believe that you and I have a unique access to knowing when your father is snorting enraged, snorting mad. And he is furious that he was not allowed to give his Lobos update. And look at him. He is seething right now.
I am also furious because Greg comes down here every Tuesday, and sometimes he comes down here multiple times per week, and he wants to give a Lobos update that I, for one, love, and I would like to hear about his team. I
believe that nobody cares about your fantasy team. I don't mean you personally. I mean the fantasy team of others.
I believe that everyone cares about Greg's, though. Also,
yes.
And I don't want to betray any confidences, but there may have been conversations in the makeup room where Greg said, "You know what? I want to surprise Dan today with a back in my day, and I'm just going to spring it on him if he lets me get that Lobos update in." But now that you didn't,
right,
it seems like it's too little too late on this one. Even if you let him do it now, I think he's going to hold out and not give you that back in my day.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't have a back in my day.
I did, but I won't
never
do it
learn.
now.
You'll never know.
Yeah, well put, Stugotz.
He's enraged.
Well, listen, okay. The Lobos update is a thing or it isn't. It's a bit on the show or it isn't. Don't cue the music and have me get ready to do it, and 2 words in, give me the dumb hard network out. And this happened to be a week, by the way. Anybody who plays fantasy football can appreciate what I'm about to tell you.
Hold on. Give him the music because he's going to give the update whether we want it or not.
Give it.
He's going to give the update. He's
from the top.
Don't fall for it, Greg.
half-ass
Giving it.
You need it
It's
from
going to
the
be
top.
very quick.
Chris is
you want the whole
teasing
thing?
you
Yeah, I want
again.
I want the pomp and the circumstance.
No, I'm just going to give it to you
Mike.
quick. It's a 10
It is time now for a weekly update on
Wait for
our
it, wait for
favorite
it.
team,
Yeah.
Rex Lobos.
Okay.
Here is their head coach and president of football operations, Greg Cody.
You're good.
Okay, Greg's Lobos. Greg's
It is time now for a weekly update on our favorite team, Rex Lobos.
Long intro.
Here is their head coach and president of football operations, Greg Cody.
Lobos! Randy Scott stinks! Okay. You might not care about anybody
It
else.
is time now for a weekly update on our
Jesus.
favorite team,
This is screwed up,
Rex
man.
Lobos.
I don't like this.
I'm not Dad.
What's
Here is their head
I'm not
coach and
taking part
president
in
of
this.
football operations,
like it.
Greg Cody.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Diana Rossini joins us. She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. She's got a very
70 is full.
smart
All right. Gonna
podcast.
walk out in a minute.
It's called Scoop City. You can check out new episodes on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Go on. Just pretend like. In fact, you want me to walk out? I'll
No,
walk out.
I don't want you to walk
Okay.
out. I
Go
want
by
you
You
to
yourself.
walk out, I walk out. I'm telling you right now.
Ridiculous.
Well, we've got Diana. I
I know.
I could get good analysis from her on how players don't have the ability to stay
Okay.
not
Maybe
injured
I bet
in
she
that
feels
league.
differently.
Let's hear about Diana's fantasy team, huh? How'd you do this week?
He's enraged.
Diana's Lobos.
He's really mad. Do you believe anyone cares about the fantasy
question.
teams of others, Diana?
It's like hearing about people's dreams. I don't care. Don't care about your dreams. I don't care about your fantasy team. But Greg, I do though, because I can tell that you have passion about your team. Can you give me one update, just one, and then we'll get going and talk real football?
Okay.
You want the open or?
Okay. Anybody who plays fantasy football.
It is time now for a weekly update on our favorite team,
Okay,
Rex
no,
Lobos.
No, Greg, I did that for you.
We had to
Here is the
reset.
head
gonna do
coach
it
and
again.
president of football operations, Greg
He
Cody.
won't do it again.
If he does it
He
again,
will not
I
do-
am walking out.
You've made
Greg,
that clear.
Greg, Diana asked.
You have made it clear. Diana asked, and we are supporting the Lobos update. It's not going to happen again.
Wait, is
Okay.
there an intro?
No, don't do that, Diana. Diana, you need
Wait,
to
turn on the original audio. Diana missed it.
We've already heard the intro 9 times.
She missed it. We will lose him.
Audio.
Guys, I just hopped on. I didn't hear it.
All right, hold on a
You
second.
guys should have like a.
It's an
You guys should have a
original
drop,
audio
like a
Chris, don't do it again.
sound thing to like introduce it so we know what it is.
That's a good idea, Dan.
Chris,
Get it
don't
sponsored.
do it again. Please, please.
The Lobos are not just any other.
No!
Time now for a
No!
weekly update
No!
of our
She didn't
favorite
hear it.
team.
She didn't hear. I walk out with him.
Here is their head coach and
You're not
president
going
of
to get him
football
back.
operations.
I
Greg
promised him
Cody.
you weren't going to do that. No. He just shouted on his way out of the room. Matthew Stafford is made of wicker.
I don't like that.
I didn't like it either. That was wrong.
I don't like this.
Elder abuse.
Diana
This is
asked
bad.
for the open.
This is the worst thing you've done. Yeah. This is bad. You need to apologize.
You should apologize.
I'm not doing bit. This is bad.
I didn't think that was right. I wouldn't have done that last one. I wouldn't have
I'm
done
sorry.
that last
Just
one.
but back in my day, you would never do that. Like you would never be disrespectful to somebody on the show who's just trying to share what they care about. But things are different. I feel bad. Like I'm sorry I asked for the open. I just was thinking they should make this like a thing, like a segment
To honor
where we
Greg.
check. Yeah.
To celebrate his fantasy team, even though you don't care about anyone else's, his is the one we care about. Evidently, he had a record-breaking week in fantasy. This is supposed to mean something to us. He had 222 points. He had 4 people go over some crazy point total. So
Yeah.
I guess it's a lot of points, and he wanted everyone to know it.
Did he play Saquon?
We may never know now.
He could have played any number of people who were. Would you have liked? How would you have liked to have had on that team just Goddard on Sunday, a tight end? All of a sudden, they have no one else to throw to in Philadelphia, and because 3 Saints are running into each other, Goddard is showing you that he's a whole lot faster than anyone thought Frankenstein should be.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles offense right now is slightly confusing to me. I think Saquon Barkley was obviously the hero and saved the day in general for this offense. But look, Nick Sirianni says he is going to be tinkering and weighing in on some of the play calls now. So I thought that was a really interesting sort of addition to what this Eagles team is doing, which was kind of allowing Sirianni to just be the CEO and oversee it and not really get involved in all this decision-making stuff on the field. But now he's going to be part of it. So I am genuinely very curious to see how this works, because the problem last year, from what I was told, was that it was Nick's call on everything. Like that was Nick, what you saw out there on the field. And then they sort of took that away from him a bit here, promoted him, gave him a bigger role in a way, and now he's going to go back to having some influence on this with Kellen Moore. So I don't know if it's a good thing. I know Nick is a great offensive coordinator. I like to believe this, but we'll see how his contributions mix with Kellen Moore now, what that's going to look like for Philly that is hanging on.
If you had to assign most interesting thing to the things that happened last night, because these guys both voted on blaming Trevor Lawrence, what would you say was the most interesting thing from last night if you can only pick one thing?
From both games, I'll go to the other game with the Bengals and Washington. I think for me, just watching Jaden be as good as he was last night, and to watch somebody's coming out party, to just see it and sort of even just the shot of his dad, like, wow, we are watching something. Dan, you know this. I covered Washington sports for a while. I was a local sports anchor there. And I arrived the year after Robert Griffin III. So I missed that electric year. And I would just spend so much of my time during training camp that following season hearing stories from all the old then Redskins talking about what it was like that year before. And I just remember thinking I missed it. Like I missed what it was like to live in that city when people were all in on this team. And to see it look the same way last night, to have that feel like, ooh, the last time I remember Washington being this electric, and just even based on the people reaching out to me today in the Washington area is tremendous. So the reason why I bring him up because I remember during the draft process, and we've talked about this before, and I think there's been a lot of insiders and people that cover the league. They've brought this up, that a lot of people thought Caleb Williams was number one. That is without a doubt. We're not going to rewrite history. But I definitely spoke to some head coaches who thought Jaden was better. And I remember reporting it and feeling a little uncomfortable with it. The coaches that told me are fantastic, by the way. They're very good coaches, and they're head coaches. But I remember in the moment thinking, this is like against the grain. Everyone is saying Caleb's the guy. Maybe these coaches don't really know. But now we're seeing where, look, I still think Caleb Williams is going to be really good. I think two things can be true. I think Jaden can be really good and is arriving sooner with just a better team around him at this moment, with a better offensive coordinator. And Caleb may just need a little bit more time. So I definitely thought of those conversations though last night, watching Jaden, knowing how many people in the league had their eyes on him on draft night, hoping to get up to try to see if Washington would do a deal. And they obviously were not going to do that, especially after Topgolf.
And for Washington to finally have like their guy at quarterback, when you look at Terry McLaurin's career, this is his 6th season, and you look at the list of quarterbacks who've completed a pass to McLaurin before Jaden Daniels, it's Jacoby Brissett, Sam Howell, Carson Wentz, Garrett Gilbert, Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum, Alex Smith, and Colt McCoy. Those are the guys they've had there over the last 5 years.
This has to be making Daniel Snyder crazy.
I care about your fantasy team.
You know,
I care
I was
about the Lobos.
thinking
What
about
they're
that.
doing is just straight wrong to you. It is wrong. So please, Greg, tell me. It's your birthday week. You come down here. You make the commitment. You make the time for us. I care about you. I care about your fantasy team. Tell me about the Lobos.
You always support me, Stugotz. I really appreciate you. Other than you didn't go to my birthday party, I really appreciate the support. The thing that got me so mad about this is that this is the one time when a Lobos update was actually called for. Okay, anybody who plays fantasy football knows what I'm talking about. It's a 10-team league, right? If you score 150 points, you've had a great game, great scoring game. I scored 222 points.
222 points?
It's like it's got to be a league record. I had 5 players with 30 points or more. 5 players, including both my running backs, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley.
Who was the MVL?
The NBA, you know what? I had 5 players all with like 30 or 31 points. So I don't know who the it's a 5. I'm going to give out 5 trophies.
Thank you, camera people, for zoning in dangerously close to Stugotz's ass crack there. It's terribly unpleasant. You were saying, though,
That's
Diana,
not an undershirt?
Why is he wearing a white shirt underneath a long sleeve shirt?
I'm
That's
sure
his skin color.
that's his skin there. That was his skin. That was not a shirt. He's now hidden it because he's afraid, and the love handles were protruding. Oh, look, get in there close. Yes, there it is. There's some hair.
All right, cut away.
Whoa!
I cannot believe that's not a white t-shirt. That is the color of his skin. He lives in Florida. Why is his skin so white?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's usually hidden. Unfortunately, that was not hidden. But you were saying how Daniel Snyder must experience that they now clearly have a quarterback.
Yeah, I just knowing how badly he wanted to win and how many mistakes he made, and now you have new ownership coming in here, and it appears that they've got the right GM. They sorted out the head coaching thing despite not getting the guy they wanted, so that seems to be working. We're 3 weeks in here. Commanders fans are electrified by the fact that they now have a quarterback who looks like he's got potential to be the best quarterback they've had in decades. And look, I was going through Twitter and reading some stories this morning, and it definitely feels like just a surge of excitement because we saw so much from a rookie quarterback in just one game, when in week 1 or 2, I think we were questioning some of his decisions to run out of the pocket in some moments where he didn't need to. But the fact that he was able to sit in the pocket the way he did and make the throws, it just tells you that it's there. Washington just can't mess it up. Like, just don't mess this up. You've got the guy. You've got the guy probably for a long time. So as excited as I think Washington probably is, I don't care what you say. Those fans are have their fingers crossed behind their back hoping that this isn't the Washington of old, that this new regime, and it appears that they've got this thing on the right track, is going to be able to handle this and manage success. Because you always hear it's one thing to deal with the issues and the adversity, but it's another when you deal with success. We'll see how they do it.
Mike, there is not a greater structural flaw on the other end of the spectrum on this than the Cleveland Browns, correct? In the entire league, there is not a structural Achilles heel more problematic than the one Cleveland has at quarterback.
Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. The Cleveland Browns' offensive success rate, weeks 1 through 3 this season, is the worst it's ever been since the Browns came back to the NFL. When you think of all the bad quarterbacks they've ever had, Deshaun Watson is all-time bad in that Browns offense. He is taking sacks instead of throwing to open receivers. That's what the tape is suggesting. He has receivers open, and he doesn't want to throw a pick, so he'll take a sack. Yes, there have been injuries along that offensive line. They also got some guys back. That offensive line isn't that bad that Deshaun Watson is getting that many sacks. This is an issue in which they seem completely stuck. Diana, what are you hearing about the situation in Cleveland? And do they have the guts to make a move there and have this guaranteed contract right in the pine?
Yeah, a couple things. Let's just start with what we know already, which is we've seen Kevin Stefanski deal with issues. We've seen him deal with issues at quarterback and problems and injuries last year, right? And he has an incredible way of rallying his guys. He has a different personality, as you guys have all seen on the sidelines, and you've heard him in post-game locker room settings. He's not this over the top, fiery kind of Sean McVay, Dan Campbell types, which are awesome, right? And those work. Kevin Stefanski is pretty even keeled, but those type of personalities work really well in these scenarios where they are struggling. They are well aware that they've got major issues. And look, we could probably go back and forth, Mike, on the O-line and are they really that bad? Is it on Deshaun? It's everybody. Everybody stinks right now in Cleveland. And they know that. And they're going to try to make attempts to fix the problems that they have in front of them. Now, the next question that everyone asks is, all right, Jameis Winston's right there. Like, just do it. Maybe it could give the team some life. Maybe he could be the Andy Dalton of Cleveland. I can't believe I just said that, but you know what I mean? Like maybe it could give them a spark. And look, I think those scenarios work sometimes for one game, maybe even a quarter. But from what I know, I don't believe Jameis Winston for now is the answer for the Cleveland Browns. They still believe that Deshaun Watson gives them the best potential, and they just need to sort out what it is and find a little bit more hunger in them, because that's just been my observation. This isn't from talking to people in that building about what's the demeanor. They don't look that engaged. So I want to see if there's going to be a change there. And in terms of the Deshaun Watson future, I don't think we can answer right now. All I can tell you is they're very committed to sticking with Deshaun Watson. So we'll see if that changes, come the holidays.
That seems crazy, though, because we've got enough of a sample. He's been bad the entire time he's been back.
I live in Florida, but my ass lives in my jeans, except when I sit on this couch. They somehow, the geniuses in there, think talking about the Cleveland Browns is more exciting than talking about a team that had 222 points in fantasy, your Lobos, with 5 guys over 30. I want to pick the MVL, if you don't mind.
Please, I'd be honored. Who do you like? You got so many to choose from.
Well, give me some choices here.
Okay, my 5 30-point scorers were Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Kieran Williams. That's 3 running backs who topped 30 points. Wow. And the 5th one I can't think of.
Okay, well, I'm going to give it to the 5th one that you can't think of. He is the MVL.
Travis Kelce, what's wrong with him, Diana?
He's old. He's also not the type of player that the Kansas City Chiefs feel that they need to rely on right now. I mean, we've kind of seen glimpses of this in years past where Travis isn't great out of the gate, even last year, this time of year. I remember when he was in New York playing against the Jets, and he was not great.
McShay says he's out of shape, Diana. I mean, and there's no way keeping the schedule that he's keeping that you can actually be in the gym the way you need to be.
So, Dan, it's a great question, because I asked people in that building that this summer, and even I I had to do a piece about what this Kansas City Chiefs offseason was like, because they obviously dealt with a lot of different conflict and they had to make decisions, and also just managing this Taylor thing and managing Travis, right? He's going to all of her concerts. And I think we think of a lot of these athletes that put it in your face, their training, who post about it all the time as, well, those are the guys that are locked in, right? Tom Brady, he's the one who takes care of himself, because we've seen the documentaries, because we've seen the clips of him. People around Travis tell me he's meticulous. Like, he's just as much of a lunatic about taking care of his body. Even just, I remember opening week, they were playing on that Thursday night game. I was talking to somebody in that building. It was that Tuesday, right? So that's like a typical, tough practice for the Chiefs when they're playing on a Thursday night to open up the week. And this person I was on the phone with was leaving the facility, and it was pretty late. And Travis Kelce was there working with bands, like just doing extra workouts, the week of the game. And I know you hear these stories all the time, first one in, last one out. And, but there's something to that. When you're that good of a player, you've won as much as he has. He's on top of the world. If I'm him, I'm going home and just FaceTiming with my amazing girlfriend. I'm not sitting there working on my bands. But he was doing that. So look, it's just a long way of me saying that I think from the outside, it seems he's really busy doing other things, but the people there tell me he's all in on football. Like, they don't have these kind of concerns with his schedule.
I legitimately thought when you said working with bands that he was doing backup dancing with some bands.
Like bands.
That there was music involved. That's what his offseason has been like. The Vikings, they're 3-0, and you put their 3-0 against anybody's
again, Washington, they win, and there's a big buzz in the city afterwards. There's a buzz in Washington after they win. You want to talk about a buzz? I mean, check out New York City after a Knicks win. Check out the Bronx after a Knicks win. Check out Yonkers after a big Knicks win. Check out Staten Island.
Feel free to do the
Knicks
fantasy bit we worked on.
Well, listen, I am surprised that you took Dak Prescott. When did you get him? Why'd you take him? I am surprised. That is a risky pick.
Yeah, I got him late. It was like mid-rounds, I think. And, he's an older player. A lot of people worried about his body, his health. I heard some analysts say he's made a wicker. But, he's just been great for us. And, 5 players with 30 or more points. The Lobos and
Diana, who's the most impressive 3-0?
The Buffalo Bills. And I'm saying that because I did not think that they would come out this hot. I had concerns after that Stephon Diggs trade, knowing just what those receivers look like. They're just, look, we always believe that the Bills are going to be great. And I feel like this is the first season where everyone talking about this team had more realistic expectations in years past. Instead of anointing them as Super Bowl champs in August, I think everyone kind of realized, looking at this roster, they've made changes. Maybe they're going to go through a little bit of an overhaul here. We may just have to get through a tough season here. And here they come with the quarterback that everyone called overrated on some other sports networks. And Josh actually came on our podcast Scoop City to talk about that. He deals with it well. He loves it. I think he gets off on just this idea of being doubted. I think at the level he's playing at right now, it shows he's having fun, no pressure, and just the fact that he's taking care of the football. The thing that crushes Josh Allen, the thing that one little thing we always have to highlight about him because we want to believe he's the best. We're like, sometimes his biggest weakness is also his biggest strength. And right now, all we're seeing is strength. And to me, that is the most impressive part of the in the league is just what Josh Allen has been able to do. I would put Sam Darnold in the Vikings right after that, though. Very close.
She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. She's got a great podcast called Scoop City, new episodes Tuesdays and Fridays. I wanted to ask you what the reaction was because you became an internet storm last week when you were on with us, and you deigned to have opinions about your career and your husband, the Eagles fan's career. And I marvel at your strength all the time in trying to do this lunatic job while having kids. It doesn't seem like a reasonable sort of sanity. But the storm that came your way, you handled that how?
So I think the good news from those that missed it, I weighed in on just the Philadelphia fandom, which I think a lot of people can relate to if you live with somebody that is a lunatic about a certain fan or about a certain team. But I think the part of the story that I forgot to explain to you, Dan, is that I didn't grow up a big football fan. Like that wasn't my house. My family cares about like meatballs and plumbing. Like that's what I grew up around. It was maybe fishing, like that's what the boys in my life do. So I didn't sit around every Sunday waiting for kickoff. I'm not a season ticket holder. I love sports. I just don't know what that world is. I am now married to that. So it's been an adjustment period.
You're married to
me.
Stugotz. You're married to Stugotz back when he, like the Stugotz of caring about sports the way a 20-year-old Stugotz would. No indictment on your husband. I wouldn't say that he's Stugotz. I'm saying the caveman passion of believing in your team in a way that grabs his identity from his team.
Yeah, and look, I discovered after taking the week to think about it all, the things I probably, the reasons I'm probably in love with my husband are probably the same things that I can't stand about him when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what it is? Maybe I want the attention. Maybe that's what it is. We're so busy with these kids. I want him to show that passion that he has for the Eagles. Somehow I've become the victim.
That's good, though.
Situation.
That's good. I do believe that. I believe there are many wives and husbands out there that wish that their wives and husbands cared about them the way they care about their teams.
Dan, the kiss and hug my husband gave me on Sunday after the Eagles pulled that game off. I was in the other room watching the games that I wanted to watch. He came running in there, and you would have thought, what happened? I mean, I obviously knew at that point that the Eagles won, but just again, it goes back to what we talked about. It changes the energy in my house, and for the good of it and the bad of it, I don't like it. It's because it's not consistent, and I don't want to live. My life is hard enough. I can't live on this roller coaster of someone's fandom. But Eagles fans really took this to heart. Like Philadelphia, I may never be allowed at the lake. Like I have to go down there this weekend to see friends and family. I'm worried because people were so offended that I called Philly out for being intense. But maybe it was just a really roundabout way of me saying I'm a little jealous.
Diana, nice seeing you. Always good catching up with you. See you next week.
Can't wait.
Does the Amish community watch the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz?
They don't really have much electricity over there, so no, probably not. No.
Hey, Dan, it's me, Lucy, and I'm here in Norman, Oklahoma. And something that I've learned is that Oklahoma does a lot of cheers where they go, oh, you. But they don't have any where they go, O-K-L-A-H-O-M-A. And I think they should add one of those. Hey, Dan. Hey, it's me, Lucy. It is 8 million degrees out here. Do you miss the Big 12 at all?
Not at all.
Not even Oklahoma State, you don't miss them?
The girls, I do. I'm sweating something.
And I've been to Oklahoma. Tennessee.
It's not the real UT.
Well, then the real UT. How do you guys feel about Texas?
Oh, I love. That's it.
How hot is it today?
98 degrees in the shade.
Boomer Sooner. Mr. OU, can you take me through your outfit today?
Oh, well, I got to look the best in SEC, so me and a couple of fans got together and we decided to put an outfit together. That's the outfit.
How do you guys feel about Tennessee?
No.
Texas?
No. No. No.
Rocky Top?
I like it, but no.
Dan Le Batard? Who's that? Exactly. Who is that? I don't know. Hope to never know. The sun is beating down relentlessly, and they keep shooting guns. So everything's really going awesome. I love the SEC. It just means more. Who tailgates better, the SEC or the Big 12?
There's no question the SEC. It's the greatest conference in the country. I'm very nervous on what we're going to do. I'm a little nervous for it. SEC is it's a tough conference.
We've always belonged in the SEC. We're going to fit in great. We're going to win today.
They probably should have done this a little sooner. Dan, we keep trying to find people to interview, and it's weird. Every time we try to find people to interview, our GPS just keeps taking us to the ice cream place. I don't even know how that keeps happening. That's probably where the people are. So we should probably go get the ice cream, I believe, maybe. When I'm on the road. That's Patrick's line in SpongeBob. When I'm on the road. Patrick goes, huh, huh. Lane Kiffin.
He's terrible. I hate him. I hope he goes to Florida so I can hate Florida even more than I already do.
His name is Lame Kitten, and I don't like Lame Kitten.
Would you throw a golf ball at him?
Absolutely not. If I hit my 9-iron, it would have been in his face, no doubt.
We're not saying you should hit Lane Kiffin.
No, never.
Do you miss the Big 12 at all?
Not at all.
Can you think of one thing you might miss?
Winning Big 12 championships. I don't know.
When I'm on the road, we're going to get ice cream. What is the most Amish thing about this tailgate?
The most Amish thing. Amish love to party.
The Amish love to party.
Amish at one point.
We went all this way to get ice cream because everyone responded to my Instagram story and said, Lucy, get a Sooner Swirl. It's so great. I just assumed Sooner Swirl meant like ice cream swirl. There's a lot more than chocolate and vanilla in this. I'll tell you that. Genuinely an accident. But look, didn't even have a sip. I had one sip. 2. That's it. So if there's one thing we've established here is that the home team hates to see me coming. Sure, I'm 0-4, but so is College Game Day. Okay, and I don't hear anybody talking about the game day curse, but everybody's worried about the Lucy curse. Get over yourself and go get a Powerade. It takes more. Anything else you guys want to say to the Dan Le Batard Show?
Tennessee. The balls. The balls. I do tune in, and I love it.
Hell yeah, I don't believe that you watch the Le Batard Show all the time.
I do.
What's my name?
Aubrey.
No.
Boomer!
Boomer Sooner!
Boomer! Sooner!
Boomer Sooner. Boom soon, Dan.
We came, and we boomered that sooner.
Lame Kitten. Lame kitten. That guy was as drunk early in the morning. That was actually early afternoon, right? He was that drunk.
Lucy, you can maybe answer this question. As soon as I saw that dude for the second time and I saw him breathing out of his mouth and he was rocking in his chair a little bit, that has to be the drunkest person you've interviewed yet.
Here's my take. I actually don't think anyone was that drunk. It was 100 degrees out, not including the feels like. So I think everyone was just like drunk off like heat exhaustion. So it made everyone so much worse. Like I felt delusional the entire day.
I get it. That's nice. You don't want to throw him under the bus. That dude, maybe nobody else, but that dude. That dude was drunk.
Let's see if we can prove it. Let's play that again.
It would have been in his face, no doubt.
We're not saying you should hit Lane Kiffin.
No, never.
Do you miss
That's
the big
not
ball?
the heat. Lucy, that is not the heat.
Lane Kitten. So Bob's Lane Kitten.
That's the fireball. Unless there's a drink, a cocktail that they make there called the heat. As it relates to the strength of the team, though, Lucy, have you seen a lot more impressive than Tennessee?
No, I mean, Tennessee is, I think what's so remarkable about Tennessee is the things that they're normally not good at. They're very, very good at this year. Their defense looks phenomenal. And I do understand that Oklahoma has like somewhat of an anemic offense right now, and it's probably not the best comparison because their offense is so bad. But they're running the ball really well. They've got a great defense. Like, obviously the passing game is still there. They just seem to be one of the most well-rounded, just like complete teams in college football right now. It feels like they're almost already a lock for the playoff at this point.
Lucy, your father's basement has the vibes of Greg Cody's party. It has,
probably Greg's basement.
There seems to be some stuff in there that feels musty and wooden and from another time.
Yeah, it's musty. It's musty down here. It's also like raining, so it always makes it like more musty. But I feel safe here, you know.
Understood. Unlike how you felt in Miami, Mike Ryan is ready to make an announcement, by the way. I couldn't believe it when he came in here today and made the announcement that he is circling a Saturday on the calendar.
Wow.
3 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now, what are the games that we have on the calendar?
Third weekend in October.
Oh, my God.
We've got UGA at Texas, Bama at Tennessee, Miami at Louisville, Michigan at Illinois, Notre Dame at Georgia Tech, LSU at Arkansas, OK State at BYU, South Carolina at Oklahoma. This might be the most loaded college football weekend ever, and it's one of the byproducts of conference expansion. Lucy, are you going to clone yourself? Where the hell are you going to go that week?
Well, so this week's the 19th, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 12th is almost just as good. It's Oregon at Ohio State at Oregon, Penn State at USC. Like there's like a 2-3 week span in October where every weekend is just absolutely phenomenal. I don't know where we're going to go that week. Bad news, a couple of the places have already said no, but don't worry, there are so many options, so we'll figure it out.
Michigan wins with 32 passing yards over USC. I believe that's bad for everybody who cares about sports.
That's Big Ten football, Dano.
That's literally what Michigan should have been doing from the jump. That's perfect. You just have to do what you do well. And Michigan runs the ball really well, and they cannot throw the ball at all. Like, I don't know if you've seen Davis Warren, Alex Orji. They have looked not great this season. Just do what you do best. Run the ball. I'm so excited that Michigan just figured it out. And guess what? It was very obvious to know what they were going to do. They were just going to run the ball and have an elite defense, and Lincoln Riley still was like, I don't know what's going on here.
Dan, keep your crusade of saving football to the pros. Yeah. I like it that Michigan has a style to win a football game. I like that Army might actually make the college football playoff.
That's
Styles make fights. Stop trying to fix college football because it's shown you so far, very early in the proceedings, that it is perfect.
Yeah. You cannot have fewer than 100 passing yards the way Iowa and Michigan combined for fewer than 100.
Stop the run and make them pass, Dan.
Big Ten football.
Exactly right.
2-0.
Big Ten.
Peter Welch knew.
And God help Oklahoma in the SEC. Like, God, just forget about that. Like, that's not going to work out. Oklahoma is not going to be good anytime soon.
Yeah, mark it.
No, their offense, like their defense is really, really good. Their offense needs like a lot of serious work. I think benching Jackson Arnold was probably the best thing the Sooners could have done in that game, and they should probably go forward with that freshman. But like just sitting there and watching back-to-back Oklahoma gets fumbles, gets great field position, and then immediately fumbles it back the next play. I was like, oh, buddy, this is going to be a long year. It's going to be a long year for the Sooners.
Whatever the issues are with offense, I imagine Brent Venables will address it calmly and professionally.
You can only pick 5 teams that you believe to be the best 5 teams in the country. Does Miami crack your top 5?
No, not because I don't think Miami's very, very good. I think they are. I just think they're like unbelievably good teams this year, and like half of them are in the SEC. Like you'd have to go Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama. Bam.
It's weird. Alabama played USF, but it's okay. We're back to work.
Oh, what just happened there?
Well, the USF coach was asked the question, who's better, Alabama or Miami?
Right.
And he tried to be political with his answer, but he said, like, Miami's got more depth at each position than Alabama. But we're back to work.
Mm-hmm. And a better quarterback.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Cam Ward, Lucy? Because he has jumped to the top of the Heisman lists.
I mean, he's an elite quarterback. He's been this way well before Washington State when he was at Incarnate Word, which I never know how to say that. I think I said it right. I remember hearing his name in the transfer portal, just jumping up to the Washington State level. Like, he just is so dynamic and can be an entire team's offense. And it has been like, Miami has made a lot of changes, and they did a lot of work in the transfer portal, but I think Cam Ward is kind of like the proof that sometimes all you do need is just like a really, really good quarterback, and it can pretty much fix everything.
Lucy, I feel like Alabama is better. You can't, you weren't able to say this the last couple of years, but I do feel like Alabama this year is a better team, better roster, more talented team than Georgia. What are your thoughts?
I won't say they're more talented than Georgia, because Georgia and Alabama are both ridiculously talented teams. It's kind of hard to differentiate the two. Like they're probably the 2 most talented teams in the country, minus Ohio State. So this weekend we'll be able to kind of see they're playing each other. It's hard for me to say that one is more talented than the other, because at that point, like, everybody's a 5-star.
Lucy, good seeing you. Go back to the must in your father's basement. I'm sorry that the rain is making it extra musty. It is nice seeing you again. It's nice seeing you so happy. We look forward to future reports.
We didn't get to ask her about the biggest game of the weekend, UCF at Colorado.
Yeah, that's too bad that we didn't have time for that.
We didn't want to talk about that?
Lucy, thank
Big
you.
noon
Good
kickoff?
talking to you. Nice to see you again.
Bye, Aubrey.
Bye, guys.
Greg Cody, I want to get your thoughts on something, because I'm fairly stunned that over the last couple of years in football, the surest thing that I can know is that Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce is not something that can be stopped by anybody. Over the last couple of years, Travis Kelce plays, and when he plays well. He is not hurt. He is not unhealthy. He is not ill-prepared. And if you target him 13 times, you're going to get 11 catches for 150 yards. Please explain to me what is happening with Travis Kelce being, production-wise, like the 40th best tight end in the league.
Right. Yeah. The last game, he had 4 catches for 30 yards, which was pretty good for him. I think it was better than his first 2 games. I think that he has spread himself too thin. I know Diana Rossini said that she's talked to the Chiefs, who say, no, he's still fully committed. I don't know how you can be fully committed when you're globe-trotting to watch your girlfriend perform on stage. The other day, an ad for a new movie comes on, and Travis Kelce is in it. Travis Kelce is now has a part in a horror movie.
FX.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, are you a football player? What are you doing?
I'm with you, Greg. I happen to believe he is the only football player that travels with his offseason.
Look, it seeps into the season as well.
I think that he's older, which people need to recognize, but it is a little concerning. You would have thought that this would have been a perfect opponent for him to start getting some numbers. There's a team that plays a zone. Travis Kelce has made a Hall of Fame career by finding little holes inside the zone and then just running up like 5 yards after that. And it's not happening for whatever reason. But again, he kind of had a real dip in performance before the NFL playoffs last year. And then he put together arguably the greatest postseason that an NFL tight end has ever had.
What are you saying exactly, Greg Cody? Say it plainly.
I am saying that even if not in reality, the optics are bad. The optics, the perception is that Travis Kelce has so much else going on that he's not focusing entirely on football.
He's the same age as Gronk. Gronk retired 6 years ago the first time,
Right.
and then played a couple more seasons, and then retired again 3 years
Right.
ago.
I'm not saying he isn't an aging tight end, and maybe all of a sudden he's fallen. Is that what you're saying? All of a
Well,
sudden,
wait a minute.
he's
Let's
fallen off the cliff.
let's be clear on this. Again, if you did not hear Mike, you may have been questioning Travis Kelce at the end of last season, and then during the playoffs, you had a seismic run through the playoffs where he wasn't old during the playoffs.
You had to stop asking questions.
3 games ago
Right.
during the playoffs. But Stugotz warned you. Stugotz was way ahead of everybody on this. This is Stugotz last Thanksgiving telling you, I know exactly what Greg Cody's opinion is going to be next September.
I got a message for Travis Kelce, Dan, because he's a friend of mine, and I am telling you right now, he doesn't know this is going to happen, but it's about to happen. They lose more games, okay? He has a drop. He has a big fumble in that game last night. Big turnover, okay?
Yeah, 2 turnovers in the red zone for one of the best red zone teams we've ever seen, as long as Andy Reid's been there.
Yes, and Chiefs fans are going to start doubting Travis Kelce, Dan. If they lose a couple of more games, they're going to start to say that Travis Kelce is not as focused as he's been in years past. He is more focused on his relationship with Taylor Swift. He is more focused on doing his podcast with Jason Kelce. I'll get to him in just a second. Dan, I'm telling you it's coming. Chiefs fans are going to come down on him on sports radio. I am telling you right now, because he's not as focused as he's been in years past. And because he's not focused and he's one of the leaders of the team, the captains of the team, everyone's going to criticize him and say, where's your focus? You've lost your focus. And they're going to start getting mad at Travis Kelce.
Perfect. Thank you for the support.
Thank you for doing it.
No,
Well,
I
he
appreciate
said
that.
what you were going to do, though. He predicted you. The Chiefs are 3-0, by the way.
Yeah.
God help them if they start losing.
A shaky 3-0.
Shaky.
According to Dan, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, when I talk about optics, okay, there's no question that Travis Kelce filmed this horror movie months ago before the season started. No question about that.
It's a
But it's coming
teleseries.
out now. The ads are appearing now, and so the optic is you have a tight end who's struggling, appearing in a horror movie. What the hell's going on?
You're suggesting that the American audience can't piece together that he filmed this before the season?
I think that the optics are bad. That's all. I
It
do.
was so
I told
weird
you.
to
Yeah.
see Travis Kelce as the only person in the football sphere traveling this offseason.
It's wild. I didn't know.
Everybody else was in a
That's right.
hermetically sealed gym working out 20
Right.
hours a day.
And
To
here's
Mike's
a-
point.
here's by the way, that UFC T-shirt,
UCF.
that logo looks like a ripoff of Wu-Tang Clan. I'm just going to make that
Pegasus.
allegation right now.
It's a Pegasus.
It's a Pegasus.
And it's UCF night.
Okay,
the Ultimate Fighting
Odd place to
Championship.
go, but
Compare the two logos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compare the
Put
two
those
Always,
next to each
yeah.
other.
Alright,
Radio
cool.
team, get on
Here's
it.
what else is
Feedback,
bad with optics.
receipt.
Hold on, he has something else.
Jeremy,
ahead.
get out of the way.
Yeah,
He's rolling.
go to
Get
Greg.
out of the way.
Jeremy's got a banger
Optics.
stat.
He doesn't.
Optics
I know,
part
I know,
two.
but he doesn't care. He doesn't see that Jeremy's trying to talk.
It's
he,
fine.
He
Doesn't
doesn't.
care,
He doesn't
right.
pay attention to what's happening around
It's
him.
Tuesday. It's his day.
Greg,
Optics,
go
second
ahead.
point.
Continue
Yeah.
your point.
I was just going to say another. Speaking of bad optics, somebody brought that up. The another
did.
bad optic is the fact that every home game there's Taylor Swift in the press box, and the over under
is that bad
the
optic?
over under
Oh,
on
the
shots
man
of her.
speak. Yeah.
The over under on
no.
shots of her in a suite has to be 9.5.
Okay.
They're constantly going to her,
Great.
and it's a reminder. It's a constant pound you over the head reminder that Travis Kelce. How can he be concentrating on football? Look who his girlfriend is. Only the
Well,
most famous woman in
he's
the world.
playing football at the time that they're showing her, but
Yeah,
okay.
and catching 2 passes for 11 yards.
Jeremy, you were saying
At the end of last season, his final 3 games were 5 catches for 28 yards, 5 catches for 44 yards, 3 for 16 yards. This year, it's 3 for 34, 1 for 5, and 4 for 30. Just in between that, in the playoffs, 7 for 71, 5 for 75 and 2 touchdowns, 11 for 116 and a touchdown, and 9 for 93.
Sure. What have you done lately?
He did it in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, do it now.